I feel like I'm a little more deliberate now. So before, I might have looked at the skill of adding decimals together. And now I'm assessing just, can you line up the decimals? And then I'm assessing, can we add it? And then I'm creating a group around that. And when we go to do small groups, I used to create the small groups, and now the small groups are being created by the students. As they finish a math assignment, I'll have them write in the corner, or a reading assignment, or any assignment, I'll have them write in the corner their own thoughts on whether or not they feel like they're 1, 2, 3, or 4.
I think it shifts teaching more to student-centered, because most of the time I have them do self-evaluations on every assessment, and because of the clarity that proficiency-based grading gives and allows, students are better equipped to take that learning into their own hands.
Using that decimal example again, it could be as simple as, I know how to add, I just can't remember if I'm supposed to line up the decimal, and then I know specifically what to call a group for instead of calling a group for adding decimals. So I don't really feel like I'm doing things necessarily differently, I think I'm doing more deliberately. Crazy.
Yeah, it is more than I ever dreamed it would
Right?
impact the students, because they do, like she said, they come and tell me, hey, I need more practice with this. They get their assessment, they'll look at it, and they immediately are moving over towards the small group table. They are immediately taking notes, writing down, communicating. We've been doing this for a while, so they figured it out. But the engagement, the ability to not just take an assessment and throw it in the back of their binder and push it in the back and move on, they're actually thinking about it, and they're actually taking some ownership in it.
So it improves teaching while also improving the student learning aspect kind of simultaneously, 2 birds with 1 stone, as they say.
We were really concerned specifically about our resource or special ed students, because obviously in a proficiency-based grading arena, it's really difficult for them to achieve a 4 because they're already 2 grade levels behind. And they were the ones we were most concerned about, and they are loving it, because up to this point, they have felt like they don't read well or they don't do math well, and now they're seeing that they do understand key concepts in math. They're struggling with these 5, but they've got this one or this one or this one.
I even get parents involved now. Parents will email me and say, hey, you know what, can you send home some extra practice for them? They need some help with their division. We saw that on the grade book, that their divisions were a little bit low, can you send that? And so now that we're in algebra, I'm really seeing some parent involvement, which is a first for a long time.
For 6th grade.
Yeah.
Our first SEPs, we decided to make those student-led, and we've actually tried to do that for years. We've had them write letters to their parents, talking about their strengths, their weaknesses, what we can do to help, and the parents come in and sit down, and they whip out this letter, and they say, I wrote your letter, read it, and hand it to them. And now they came in this time, and we were genuinely bored, because
bored and goosebumps at the same time.
Right, because our kids were opening up their data book and not just saying, here's my double score, or here's my school city score, or I'm coming up, or I've increased this much, or I need help here. But specifically, when we get home tonight, can you help me with fractions? Because you can see I got a 4 in decimals, but I'm still having a hard time with fractions. And our resource kids were just dying to show their parents where they had a 2.5 or a 3.
It streamlines it, like simplifies things a lot. Rather than having, say, 30 assignments per quarter, I have maybe 8 to 10. And what I do simply is have more standards assigned to any given assessment. So on one assessment, I can give 5 different grades.
Daunting at first to know what to grade and how to grade.
Right.
The rubrics, getting that rubric in place, getting the 1, 2, 3, 4s in place.
What should be practiced, what should be in our grade book.
And now I notice I don't take as much time grading because I'm more focused, because I pull apart like the unit test at the end of, or the story test at the end of Wonders, and I can pull it apart and grade what I'm looking specifically at, and maybe use some of the other questions as a review to see if they still retained it, which is amazing.
We had visions of just paper everywhere and printing millions of things.
And no more no more fun activities, no more projects.
Kids crying as we test them all day long.
And you know, we just finished a huge big month-long project, and I figured out the in fact, one of my students came up to me and says, now exactly where is this going to show up in gradebook? What standards? And I went, really? We want to know what standards?
When we kind of calmed down and took a deep breath, we realized we can keep using what we've been
yeah.
using. We can use a Go Math practice, homework practice, and just pull out 4 questions. We can use what activities we've created around Wonders or with Wonders or use Wonders. But now we're very deliberate in this part of it will be a PB&J, and so they'll practice, 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 and then the very next thing they do, which would have been an assignment we would have given them anyway, we just don't talk during that assignment, and we know that we are to get a 4, we're going to do this, to get a 3.
I feel like I've been pretty lucky that my whole PLC's been on board for it. So since we're all on board, we're able to have more precise conversations regarding what our students need and how they're doing on any given standard, and we're better able to guarantee specific content, curriculum, and standards that we're on.
Now it's more driven, it's more focused. We go in knowing what we're going to do, not just, okay, so what are we going to talk about this week? We already have planned, in fact, we've got planned out for the rest of this month and part of and the year even what we're going to be talking about based on just what our scores are, what our flex time looks like, everything that looks like, which is amazing.